Well, hello, and happy Friday to you. I'm Tisha with Tisha Talks Live, and today I have a very special guest joining me all the way from the UK. This is Lee Evans with High Performance Leadership. Lee, thank you so much for being on today and for joining us on Tisha Talks Live.
Happy days. I'm ready to go. Right. I love that role that you had at the start. It's beautiful. Thank
My
you.
animated Tisha, she just makes me laugh. Like
You
she's
look
even
like
laughing.
it reminds me of Oprah, right? So it's big things happening.
Yes, big things happening. Big things happening. Well, today, if you were tuning in live to this or you were catching the replay on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on YouTube, we're talking about bringing your future best self to today. Not 10 years from now where we hope and dream that, oh, in 10 years, I hope it's this. But we're like, take that 10-year self and bring it to today. And I'm really excited about this topic because we always see those t-shirts and those signs, rightly, that say like live your best self, like living my best life. And you kind of wonder, you're like, are you really living your best life or did you just buy the t-shirt because it looks cool?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so much of it out there, and it's difficult for people to understand, you know, where to go and where to look and who's actually doing this rather than like who's printing t-shirts.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I want to give a very big shout out to this guy. We know this guy here. This is Sven Immelman, and Sven and Lee and I both work with Sven, and amazing work. He does a lot of
Yeah.
our videos. So Sven, thank you so much for being on and talking to us about this topic. And just like Sven, if you are tuning into this, we have a comment box. So if you want to say hi to both Lee and myself, if you have a question about this topic or you want to chime into the conversation, feel free to do that. We're all ears, and you can even do that in the replay. So even if you're not watching it live, we always check those comments. So awesome, Lee. Okay, well, let's start us off with the first question. How do you start moving your clients forward with finding their best self and figuring out who their best self is? Like, what are some things that you do with your clients?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that I do is immerse them in a community of people who, hey, Sven's here. I immerse them in a community of people who are striving for this high performance life, right? And then we very quickly give them clarity into how amazing they actually already are, and they just don't realize it yet because they've been clouded with, all of their life story and the other people's opinions and all that stuff. So they're looking through lenses when they come.
Right.
And the thing I'm most proud of is the immediate impact, the speed that we. So somebody on a live stream in my app with us today, and it's the first time he's joined with us, and he leaves the call uplifted, and it's just a chat with people. So it's about immersing somebody very quickly into this environment that is, people. It's the right coaching, the roadmap, the questions, the infrastructure it's the tools basically. So immersing somebody very quickly into that. And sometimes it can feel like, oh God, because it's an immersion, right? So yeah, that's basically how I do it. But when I'm first looking at someone, if I'm working with them one-to-one, let's say, I look at 5 key areas really first. And I want to really understand where they are with those 5 key areas. The first one's mindset. How is their mindset at the moment, basically? Because mindset, we can talk about this more, but mindset is a practice of doing something rather than something you just have, right? So I look at where the mindset is. I look at what goals do they have? Do they have any goals? Do they have any ambitions? Do they have any kind of things they're driving for or not? Or are they just, drifting around? I look at their habits. I'm like, what are the things that you're doing every single day that are either moving you forward, or most people's habits are holding them back, right? It's their own habits. So I look at their habits very, very in depth, and we build those. I then look at, what are they skilling up in? What are they trying to get better at? What's their competencies that they're trying to develop? They must have something that they're trying to better themselves in, which is slightly different to a goal, but it's a kind of skill, because competence then leads to confidence. And the final area I look at is their relationships. I'm like, what are the relationships in your life? Are some of these things the reason why you are in this place?
Right.
What are the relationships that you have with yourself as well? The most key relationship. What is the relationship with yourself? People are beating themselves up, regretting, doubting, all of that stuff. And I'm like, stop doing that, because they're doing that to themselves and they don't quite realize why or how. But that's where I look. I look in those key areas, and we very quickly make big shifts in those areas. And that's how they start really making progress quickly.
Absolutely. We have a guest joining us. This is Charlene Brown, late but here. Hi Tisha and hi Lee. Hello everyone. Thank you so much, Charlene, for tuning in. I was just on a Charlene show, Sip and Chat, the other day. So great stuff. I like what you're saying too, Lee, because we are like our worst critic, right? We're not good enough. Like we tell ourselves this all the time. We self-sabotage. And I was just even on a call yesterday where a lady has convinced herself that when she gets to calling someone, trying to make that sale, for instance, that she's already told herself that she's a pest.
Yeah.
Like she goes into the call like, I'm a pest, I'm no good, they don't want this, like they don't want this. And I was like, okay, wait up. Like you've really just sabotaged this whole operation, instead of going, I'm a gift, I have something to offer, I have these talents and treasures, and I can help this person. Like she's already put it in her head that she's no good. And and that goes a lot to your mindset and what you tell yourself.
This is a massive part of psychology. Is what are you living in here? What's going on in here? What's the garden like? Is it full of weeds, or is it blossoming into a garden of beauty? Because when people are doing that, it's basically this self-critical, and that thing you just said about that I'm not good enough, that belief, they believe it. That's why they do it, because they believe it's true, right? But it's not actually true. They don't have any evidence to support it being true. They have lots of evidence to support that they're a great person. They try really hard. They've done loads of great things. There's loads of evidence, but they've built up this belief that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough parent. I'm not a good enough, family member. I'm not good enough to go for that promotion. I'm not good enough to, do this thing, or I'll do it when it's ready, and then they never obviously get there. But that belief is the biggest false idea that pervades through society, and it helps people to feel bad. And our beliefs drive our feelings drive our actions, and our actions are what we become, basically. So they keep reinforcing this false idea, and they don't need to do that. And just now you said, we all do that, and it's not true. There are people, me included, who do the work so that we become our own best friends, right? Seriously, I couldn't even imagine criticizing myself anymore, and there's no ego involved. I just don't do it because it's ridiculous. And I'm like, why would I do that to myself?
Yeah.
I want to be my own best friend. I want to back myself. I want to be my own motivator, right? And there are ways that you can very, very quickly process those negative thoughts and turn them into empowering thoughts, like within just a few questions, and this is the problem. People don't know what they have. They're just at the kind of mercy of everybody else's opinion, judging themselves, comparing to this person, all of that. And they don't know how to gain the clarity very quickly about what's true and what they can then do because of what's true, and how they can feel that truth, so that you can do that very quickly,
I like what you said even earlier. You mentioned it's just such a great soundbite of competence turns into confidence.
Of course.
Yeah. And that's what I say. Like even to this woman yesterday on the call, I said, when you show up confidently, people see that. They see it, and they're like, I want that. Like you're confident in yourself. You're your own best friend. You like yourself.
You see, the word confidence, the root of that word is confide, which in Latin means belief with faith, right? So listen to this about confidence. There is no lack of confidence ever for anyone. They just become confident that they're rubbish, or they become confident that they're not good enough. And they're really confident about that fact. So there is a huge amount of confidence in everybody, because it means belief. And we can't say I have no confidence, because that means I have no beliefs. You believe lots of things. And some of those things are not true about you. And they're the reason why you feel a lack of confidence. But there is no lack of confidence. You've invested your confidence into something that is not helping you. And this turns into a belief. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Perfect sense. Good stuff. I like this. Okay, so I want to ask you another question because we talk about psychology a lot and mindset. So, how can people develop a great psychology and mindset, Lee?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing they can start doing is learn to ask themselves questions, right? They have to ask themselves questions and have a mindset practice. So every single morning, the first thing I open after my eyes is a planner that I created for myself, which basically has a set of questions for that day. And that is the practice of mindset. It's a practice of setting your mind, right? So let's say, I want to have a, thank you, Charlene. I want to, let's say I want to have I want to set my mind on confidence, right? I want to be confident in a room or in a call or in whatever it is. Like your lady said the other day, I want to be confident in this call, right? What you have mindset means I have to, before the call, ask myself, what would I look like if I was confident in that call, right? And I'd write some things down and I go, well, my energy would be high, my eye contact would be great, I would be speaking very directly, I'd be articulating myself really well, I'd be kind of shoulders back, head high, I'd be bringing this high energy, right? So they do that themselves to discover what that would look like. Now they've got a plan, and now what they've got to do is go and try and do that, right? And when they do that, they then reflect. So this, I've called it a framework of think, perform, think.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
mindset is a practice of think, perform, think. It's like I work with world champion level athletes, and for their case, it would be okay. The think would be, how am I going to come into this this event? What version? Who am I as an athlete? I'm the strong me. I'm the focused me. I'm the courageous me. I'm like, okay, what does that look? And they understand what that looks like. And now they go into the performance with a plan, right? Because now they're more confident because they know what they're trying to do. The problem with confidence is people go in and don't know what they're trying to do. So they're like, I'm not sure. So
Mm-hmm.
mindset is a practice of setting your mind before the event. Then you try and do the thing that you've discovered because you've asked yourself the questions. Then you reflect on the thing and you basically go, how did it go? Did I do what I said I would do? If it failed, winner, because failure is like loads of learning here.
Absolutely.
Why did I fail? What went wrong? What would I do differently next time, etc., etc. Now capture all that. Now go again. Mindset, right? So I suppose the first thing to understand for people to build this psychology and mindset is that mindset is a practice. You have to do something, right? And you have to have a structure to it. So mindset for me is every single morning, mindset for the day, right? And every single evening, reflection through the questions about the day, learn from the day, put the learning to the next day in a message from yesterday's me. I open up, I get the learning, I start again, mindset, so that's about mindset. And then really psychology, how you develop psychology quickly is you learn how to have the psychological tools to penetrate through the nonsense that's going on in your head, the story that's there. So you have the psychological tools to be able to see clearly. So this means opening the gate of awareness all of the time, right? I open a gate of awareness, I see more clearly about myself, right? And then when I've kind of opened that gate through processing the negative thoughts, disempowering and getting new ones, I start going for, the amount of time and energy that people spend in the thinking they have and the feelings they have is the outcome they get. How
Mm-hmm.
many people are spending loads of time visualizing their success, feeling how amazing they are, which is true. We're fascinating, right? We're fascinating individuals, aren't we? All of us, right?
We are
So I
super
think
fascinating.
psychology is very much about building this garden in your mind and having the tools to be able to really kind of skill that up. and then having the psychological discipline to stay in that so that I bounce back very quickly. You know, I catch reactions before they come out because I'm so aware now, because I'm developing this awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part about psychology really is surrounding yourself with the right people, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
If I answered the question, I went off on one a little bit, but
No, there's some great points in there, and I mean, Charlene even saying great show. I liked the exercises that you said, that you have this journal and you have these sets of questions, and it's carrying you throughout your whole day and even into the next day.
yeah,
Of okay, I'm going to start my day. These are the things. These are some questions,
yes.
and then I'm going to reflect on it, because you're right. Everything is teaching us a lesson. Every single thing we do.
But you
You
see,
know.
the way I understand this, how do you bring your high performance life to life, is you build infrastructure around everything, right? And I liken it to a bridge. So if
Mm-hmm.
you think of a bridge, the bridge is very strong because it has pillars and
Yes.
infrastructure, and they're mutually supporting, right? And that means that lots of load can go over that bridge, lots of stress can be on the bridge, and it doesn't weaken, it doesn't fall down because it's got strong infrastructure. And
Mm-hmm.
we're exactly the same, right? So the infrastructure we have are our practices, our principles, our habits that we do. And the bridge has to have the pillars there every day to be strong, or it falls down. So we have to have the pillars there every day to be strong and to be resilient and to take the load and the stress that comes at us easily. We have to have infrastructure. So I build infrastructure around energy, specifically, is one of the key ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this charge inside ourselves, you know, and there are 7 pillars to my energy infrastructure, which are consistent every single day. And if they're not, I can't expect to be high energy and strong because I'll be tired and weak. but
Yeah.
but then there's productivity infrastructure. If I want to be very productive, I've got 12 rules, which are the productivity rules. If I am doing these 12 rules, I'm weaponizing things. I'm moving through like an absolute laser, right? But if I'm not doing those 12 rules, I'm as distracted as everybody else because you need infrastructure. So we have infrastructure on everything, psychological infrastructure, you know, what you're filling your mind with every single day, who you're filling your mind with every single day, what are you doing in your mind every single day? That's infrastructure if you have
Mm-hmm.
tools, weapons around that, you know.
I really like this topic. And we were talking about this even in the green room too, the virtual
Yeah.
green room, Lee, about how, we talk about living your best life and, having everything in your life working for you. Like, I honestly, when people ask me, how's life going? I'm like, every aspect of my life is doing amazing. Every aspect. And I think it's showing in just how I light up and how I'm happy. But we talked about this, and I wanted to go over this with you too. You talk about these infrastructures, and your infrastructure isn't, it's all business. There's different things in your life that bring you joy. And you said that if one area of your life is not there, it's like the whole thing is falling apart.
Yeah.
You're putting too much effort and too much pressure on one thing that everything else is failing. Can you talk about that a little bit with
Absolutely.
us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the biggest failures, right? Where people are, it's this trap between high performance and high achievement,
Mm-hmm.
is the way I distinguish it. High achievement is success, sometimes overwhelming success in one area of your life, and usually it's work. And while they're being very successful at work, their mental health, their physical health is all declining. Their
Right.
relationships are falling apart. They're everything is going wrong. So they end up with lots of money and they're miserable and depressed and anxious. And I'm like, that's what high achievement does. High
Mm-hmm.
performance is about success in all aspects of your life, whilst maintaining your health and building joyful, positive relationships and experiencing joy and confidence every day. So you become the best parent you can be because you have infrastructure around your relationships. You have relationship goals. You set intentions around relationships. You have, you have the best self as a leader of people, for instance. Because you have this real understanding and infrastructure around leadership is about developing people. It's about lifting people up. It's about encouraging people. It's about empowering them, right? And giving them a vision and let's all go together. So you have amazing success at leadership, if that's your role. You have amazing success as a parent, as a partner. You have amazing success on your health and yourself, because all of these things are projects. These are all projects, right? So I'm my biggest project. I'm me. I am my biggest project, right? My health, my relationship with myself is the most important thing to me. And some people think, well, it's a bit kind of selfish. No, it's not selfish. It's self-loving. And that
Yes.
means I can really love other people far greater when I love myself, right?
There you are. Yeah. And so I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Lee, but I'm always big into choosing a word of the year. And I shared mine with you is abundance for this year.
Yeah.
But years ago, my word was selfish because of exactly what you said. I didn't feel like my infrastructure was there. I felt like I was giving too much attention to my work, to my business, that you're right. Like I noticed it, burnout, wasn't getting to the gym, wasn't healthy, wasn't sleeping. My marriage is failing. I mean, you name it. My relationships with my kids. I was choosing work over this. And it was awful. It was awful. So I like that how you broke this down into you've got high achievement, but the goal is not high achievement. We're not after high achievement because that's one aspect of your life. We're after high performance in all aspects of your life. And when you have high performance in every aspect of this project, which is you, then you can attain this best self, this best version of yourself every single day.
Every single day and in every single situation, So you are now this kind of true, authentic, honest person who always turns up the same way, who isn't trying to change themselves for other people, who isn't trying to be like this in case they think this or any of that nonsense. I'm always like this, right? I'm like, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Absolutely. I'm always like this, right? So there's infrastructure around all of that, and look, this isn't infrastructure like people say, oh, so rigid, I want some kind of joy. I want some no, there's infrastructure around everything, right? I'm probably one of the most joyous, ridiculous, nutty people I know,
And you have the coolest accent ever, Lee. I just have to compliment. So fun to hear you talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think one of the problems that people face with this high achievement versus high performance is because they care so much about what they're trying to do. They're good people. They really care about what they're trying to do, right? And because they care so much, they basically don't ever prioritize their own self. Mm-hmm. So they get lost in the kind of rat race of trying to please everybody else and trying to do such a good job for this so that I am good enough in other people's opinion, right? Uh-huh. So it all stems from this I'm not good enough belief thing that's going on, which is the biggest false idea in the planet. But one of the things they fail to do on a daily basis is have a routine and infrastructure to shut down from work, right? So some of the most successful people, they're like work, and maybe they'll go, right, I'm going to stop now at 5 o'clock or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. But then what are they doing in the evening? They're checking their emails. I'll just check this, right? Or I'll just check on this project, or I'll just have this phone call, or just do just right. And they haven't developed the ability, because when they're doing that, they're not being a best parent, they're being a crap parent, because their child now starts to think, well, I'm not valued then, right?
There you go.
You don't care about me very much. But there's a very quick thing you can do. And the reason it happens is our mind is kind of tugging away with this thing called the Zeganik Effect, right? So I don't know if you've heard of this, but in the early 1900s, there was a psychologist called Zeganik. And basically, she discovered that your mind will always try and close things off if they're unfinished, right? So let me give you a little example. Me and you play a little game here, right? You ready?
Ready.
I'm going to give you one half. You do what you feel naturally to do next. Ready?
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun.
Yes. Okay. That urge you just felt to close that off is called the Zeganik Effect, right? Uh-huh. So what happened? Why is that relevant? Because if you don't have a shutdown routine from work where you close the things off properly in your mind Doesn't mean you finish them all. If you don't have a routine of closing them off mentally in your mind, there will still, the Zeganik Effect is nagging at you in the evening to just check this, just check that, social media, all that stuff, right?
Right.
So very quickly, I have in my planner, I have these 4 little lines, and it says, for me anyway, at the end of the day, there's a routine. We're creatures of habit and routine, right? We need this structure. So at the end of the day, messages check is the first one, right? And I literally check messages from wherever I get them, tick a box, messages check, tick a box, right? Because ticking a box is a psychological win as well, a closing off of something, right? So I've done that. Then, so I can close them down. Now I know they're done. Then I go task reorganization. So I look at the day. I go, okay, I didn't achieve these 2 things here today that I was planning to do. I don't leave them in the day. I take them out of the day. I move them to a new block of time in the future where they can be dealt with. And then I know they're going to get dealt with. So there's no Zeganik nagging effect. So tick a box, task reorganization. I can look at a page now that says you're done.
Yeah.
And the final part is buffer. We need a buffer from the thing we're in. So for some people, that's the commute from work. They could use that, right? But for me, it's always go outside, do some exercise, walk the dog, go on the trampoline with my son, whatever it is, a buffer from the work. And then I come back into my planner and I tick a box that says shut down complete. And I say shut down complete, happy days, good effort. Now time to be successful in this role, which is husband, parent role.
Yes.
Because we keep failing in the other roles, right? We keep failing in the other roles because we're trying to do so well in this one role. So that routine, if somebody has a routine, they tick the boxes, they check it off, they limit and minimize the Zeganic effect. It doesn't go straight away. Consistency, keep doing the work every day. And suddenly you start building the habits, you know?
I love that. And we do talk about that being consistent. I mean, consistent is just a big word. That should be a lot of people's words for the year of just consistently showing up, consistently doing the things that you need to do. But you said, I mean, consistently being a good parent, not a crappy parent, a good wife or husband, not a crappy parent or wife, a crappy husband or wife. But consistency, that is really the big key. That's the big key takeaway here. If you are going to have this high performance life, if you were taking your future 10-year best self, speaking of Lee, my 10-year future best self is like serving chips and salsa in Costa Rica. That's my life. I am moving toward that.
I love it.
But it really is. It's like, what do you want your life to look like? You don't have to wait for 10 years to get there.
Yeah.
You can do the steps, create those healthy habits. I really love that you just said, I tell myself, shut down complete.
Yeah.
End of my day, closing it off. Whatever didn't get done today, I move to tomorrow or the next day. But I'm shutting down the day.
Yes. Because if I don't, I'm just about to fail as a parent.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. And I'm not saying it's simple and easy all of the time, but it requires a level of awareness that means we're conscious enough of ourselves to know what we're doing in a moment rather than just being so default and reactive. This is the biggest thing as well, reaction. People are reactive to everything. And they think, well, I'm going to move this thing forward, but they've got 17 different browsers open. They've got WhatsApp pinging over here, Slack over there, this over here, and they expect to be focused. How you can't be focused when you have all of that noise around you. So they're constantly going from here to there to here to there, and they can never do anything well, But they do the same in the other role. So rather than a parent, how many times are people lying in their bed, reading a story to their young child, and their mind is somewhere else, and they're just reading the words. They're not in the story. They've caught themselves, and they just don't know how to be here, present in the moment.
Right.
So all of these things, the thing that really frustrates me, if there's anything, I don't dwell on this, but the thing that I see a lot is people think it takes a long time. It doesn't take a long time. Right? What takes the long time is the person's decision to take some effective action, to find the right person who can guide them. Years ago, I was in the military for 25 years. I was a therapist, hypnotherapist for 10 years as well, whilst I was in the military. Now, obviously, my life as a high performance coach has evolved into this. But I met a mentor, and I always have a mentor. I have one person who's the person who's ahead of me, And this guy, Dr. John Butler, his name is, in London, and he basically really gave me this understanding that, you know, what you are doing here is wasting time with this story.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a long time is the decision to find the right mentor and then commit, right? So
Right.
if I give the listeners 3 things that I think are necessary as part of this infrastructure moving forward, is find the right person. There is always a guide or a mentor who knows the way, who's been
Mm-hmm.
down that track already, right? And he's already knows the way, or she, and they're like, look, it's going to take you about 15 years to go around the way I did it, but you could go there in like 1 week if you just go this way, right? So
Yes.
there's always a
Yeah.
guide who knows more. So you find the right guide, but it takes people, they just dither around and they don't commit, and they, you know, and sometimes they try, but they find the wrong person who basically is talking rubbish and doesn't really create an effect for them. They waste loads of money. So the first thing is a person, find the right person who knows how to move you forward with you. The second thing then is that person should have the roadmap. That person
Mm-hmm.
should have the way, right? They should have trodden the path loads of times, so they know exactly where it is. They know where the pitfalls are. They know where the obstacles are. They can guide the person through all of these things very eloquently and very quickly
Mm-hmm.
to further down the road, right? So they need the right, and that sometimes is, you know, the books that they read, the podcasts they listen to, what they're filling their mind with all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a person, there's a roadmap, and then what there is commitment and practice. Commitment and practice by the person. They've got to decide, okay, I'm in this, I'm full on. I'm not playing around. This is obviously the right person. So if ever I work with anyone to guide me, I research the hell out of them so I know that they're real, and then I'm like, let's go. And once I've done that, I am in. I'm fully in. I'm not half in, I'm fully in. I'm doing everything possible to learn what that person has learned, and then to make that, pull out the version of me with that in me, you know? So I think the right person, the right roadmap, and a kind of unrelenting, sometimes obscene level of commitment to move forward quick, you know, and be
Mm-hmm.
serious.
You have to be all in. You can't be, well, I have these things and maybe I want this. Like if you've already established that I want this for my life, then you do. You make the commitment. You decide, you commit, you go. Because if you're not all in, you know, it's just like those people, Lee, that they hire coaches and they're like, this person's going to get me where I need to go, but they're not willing to put in the work. And then
Yeah.
years later, they're stuck in the same spot and they're like, those are the people that are bashing on the coaches. Well, they didn't do what they did, but you were not committed. And that is the problem.
I suppose the difference with somebody who really, the guide, they will know that's a pitfall, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the obstacles. That's one of the traps that most people are going to fall into that trap. When they come into the thing, most people will kind of not either be confident enough to go full in with someone or with a group or a community that will not, feel like they're good enough. So they don't feel like they can engage fully, all that stuff. And you've got, as a coach, you've got to know that's going on in their head and ease them through it quickly, you know, prove it to them wrong quickly so they get the win. So it's like one of the, in my community, one of the ladies in there, she's in America, actually, in Tennessee, she's a fantastic lady. I don't know if Hermione's watching here, but Elizabeth Timms is her name. She's absolutely a legend, and I'm going to shout her out on LinkedIn. But anyway, Elizabeth, right, she came up with this challenge. We have these challenges in our community, and she came up with this challenge. In fact, it was another lady, but they both came together to do the challenge. And it was, the simplest thing about this challenge was, if you can be consistent at one thing, that thing becomes really powerful. And as silly as it is, this one thing in this challenge became the plank. You know, like you do the plank, like in your arms.
Yeah.
So they come up with this physical challenge, which we called the 30-day chicken arm challenge, which is just a bit of humor. But anyway, we're doing the plank, right? And through doing the plank, she wakes up in the morning and she knows, all I've got to do is the plank, right? And I am winning. So she's doing the plank and she's like, check me out. I'm doing the plank every single morning, right? She's like, yes. She's getting stronger. She's doing more push-ups. She's doing more. She's like, hold on, this plank has become the symbol of my commitment. If I can do the plank, I can do anything, she says, you know? She's like, if I can do the plank, I can do anything. And it's true. And so having, very quick wins is important. Having simple steps. You don't try and build all of that infrastructure in one go. You start with something, and like Zig Ziglar said, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to become great, right? So true. So I very quickly get people moving, get people moving with people around them who love them, who support them, who appreciate them. And then it becomes very powerful because there's a collective, it's like we are this. It's just really powerful, and I kind of love it so much.
That's the beauty of community. Well, on that note, Lee, so tell us, I'm going to put your website up here, but how can people reach out to you and what have you got going on in this new year?
Yeah, I mean, there's huge amounts going on, which I love. The website there, you see, the people, how can they get value from me straight away? They could go onto that website, go to the Masters community page and sign up for free growth audios. So basically what I do is at 6 o'clock in the morning, every morning, I do an 8 to 10 minute growth audio, and it goes in the free access part of the community, and people could just listen to me speak about a personal development topic, something I'm thinking about, and basically, they can get that like right now for free, and they just join in there, and they don't have to pay anything, and they have certain access levels to this community with resources in there and all the rest of it. Well, ultimately, if they really want to significantly shift forward, then on that website, the Masters community page, they just sign up, and it's, there's probably at least £10,000 worth of value in there at the moment. And that's building every month as we go. And it costs them £25 a month or £200 a year. It's just like ridiculous because they have everything that they need. So that's where they can, that's my biggest passion at the moment, is my community that I'm building, because I see it as this real legacy that's touching people's lives every day, and people are connecting together. They are really in ways that they never expect. They're like, I didn't believe that when I joined this, I would actually join a community that was actually a safe space, that was actually full of people who would proactively cheer me on, support me, and all of that stuff. And they're like, yeah, I said that, remember? And they go, yeah, I know, but everybody says that. I know. What can you do?
Like, but I actually mean it. There's the difference.
This is actually true. Yeah. All right. So that's the website. And then if they want to get hold of me, I'm on all the platforms, but LinkedIn and Instagram and all that stuff. But yeah, that's, if they want something for free from me, which there is no obligation ever for them to go any further, sign up to free growth prompts, and I'll basically coach you every single day of your life.
There you go. Yeah, coaching every single day of your life. Well, I really enjoyed this topic, Lee. Thank you so much for sharing it. Especially being that we're still really into the new year. How can you start creating those healthy habits? How can you start being the best you can be in every area of your life, not just in one area of your life? Like, I really am so happy that you touched on this holistic approach of this is how we do it. We shut things off. We are present in the moment. You dropped so many great nuggets in this show. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here today and sharing all your wonderful wisdom. Let's see. Enrique just joined us. He said, sorry, I missed this one, but caught you both just in time. Thank you so much. Enrique. Yeah, thank you. And, that's the beauty of a live stream. I really love this. I know Charlene, she said, appreciated the discussion that these live streams they're there. You can watch them at any time. They're on demand. You can actually go to my YouTube channel. I'll put that up here. My YouTube channel, all of them are up there. So if you're at bit.ly/Tisha on YouTube, that's where it is. So every episode I've ever done is recorded. And, you can always reach out to the people that I connect with, especially Lee. And there's just some great nuggets in there. And so keep learning. I'm all about, like, why I do this, Lee, is I love, first of all, interviewing cool people from around the world, you yourself included. And I love being able to learn, because I'm never going, oh, I know it all. Like, even if there's some things that I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. It's always such a great reminder to say, you know what? Yep, that's it. I need to know that. I need to be reminded of that. or I need to learn it.
It's really important, and I'm the same, the lifelong learner, and this reminder you just talked about, the way I kind of think about this is you have to keep reintroducing information into your mind,
Uh-huh.
That's remind, right? You have
Yeah.
to keep reminding, and ultimately it's like becoming a special forces operator in your life. It's about the basics done to a very high standard. That's what it's about. There's no kind of magic here. This is the basics done to a very, very high standard consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly there's cause and effect. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you will cause a new effect very quickly if you start doing these basics very, very well.
Yes.
And common sense things, unfortunately, are not common practice in people's lives, and that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ah. Well, I'm happy for Friday. I know you always like your tagline's like happy days.
Happy days. every
Happy
day's a
days.
happy Every day's a happy day, and Friday for me is a Pride day. Specifically. So Friday, Pride Day. I'm like, on a Friday, look back at the week. All my community do it. Look back at the week, and we're like, what am I proud of from my efforts? Because what people, the single thing that people need to learn to do, in my own mind, two things. One is learn to be kind to yourself. People
Mm-hmm.
are terrible at that. The second thing is learn to appreciate your efforts. You're trying really hard, right? Don't don't feel based on outcomes, because you can't control those outcomes, but you can control the effort that you show up every day, you try your best, and learn. If you can learn to feel good about your efforts, now the feelings are in your control, right? Not out of there. Thank you, Enrique. You're a ledge.
I was like, wow, that was spot on. I was like, gotta put this up. Love both of your efforts and work. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Enrique. That was
Thank
just
you.
a perfect segue, as you were saying, like learn to love your efforts, like be prideful and proud of what you've accomplished. It's such a great practice as we end
Yeah,
this show, and it is on, happy Friday to all of us, wherever you're watching, but just to really reflect on your week and say, I did this. Like we're so stuck in the moment, we're so
yeah,
stuck of what's next, what's next, what's next, please, that we don't really take the time to reflect, wow, I did that. Like some of you know, I was telling Lee that I just raised $500 for orphans in Uganda. I started it on Monday, and then I opened up my account, and all of these people showed up and supported. And I've gotten all these messages from Uganda, with them holding their school supplies. Like, okay, I'm putting that down as a very proud Friday
yeah.
moment.
100%. But if you think about it, this is the framework of think, perform, think. It
Yes.
applies to the day, it applies to the week, it applies to the month, the season, the year. We reflect on the year. We take all the learnings out of that. We go, let's go, set my
Yeah.
mind on the learning for next year. So this think, perform, think goes from micro moments to your life.
There you are. Ah, such a great conversation, Lee. I'm going to have you back on the show because you just have
I'd
so
love
many
to.
great nuggets, my
I would
friend.
love to come back on.
Yes. Well, I just want to say thanks to everybody who caught this live. I know we have some people tuning in here and there. If you have any comments, then make sure you jot those down in the chat section, even if you're watching the replay, or connect with Lee. Connect with Lee. Amazing individual. You can find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Go to his website, highperformanceleadership.co. And we are back next Friday. I have another very special guest joining me. And so catch us live, 10:45 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we will see you. Happy, happy day, everybody.
Happy
Taking leads.
days.
Please tag happy, happy day, happy Friday, and have the most amazing weekend ever. All right. We'll
Thank
see
you,
you.
Jess. I've loved this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being on. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.